Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Friday Morning Live with Dr. Jen, Joyful Medicine. So today we're going to talk about joyful medicine, actually. Most people are trying to fix their metabolism with willpower, restriction, or, the newest trend. There's so many trends out there, so many fad diets. But you know what? None of these approaches actually create the conditions that our bodies actually need to heal. The truth is, our metabolism responds to safety, nourishment, and consistency, not punishment, not discipline, not willpower. And when we learn how to support these things, our health actually shifts. And that is what the joyful medicine method is all about. So, today I'm going to walk you through what the joyful medicine method is, why it works, and how you can start using it today in a way that feels joyful, sustainable, and really human. So, we're going to talk about why traditional lifestyle advice often leaves people feeling defeated, the four pillars of my joyful medicine method, and the science behind joy, safety, and plant forward eating. And a little bit more, I'll leave you with something to consider at the end. So, welcome to Friday Morning Live with Joyful Medicine with Dr. Jen. I help adults and families transform their metabolic health with joyful medicine that honors their lives, their cultures, and their humanity. This is where evidence based lifestyle medicine meets joy, community, and everyday living. So, why does traditional lifestyle medicine uh, advice, I shouldn't say medicine, but lifestyle advice leave us feeling defeated? Most of the time, people are not struggling because they're doing something wrong. My patients come to me all the time, saying, well, I know I should do this, but I can't, or, I cheated. And the thing is, we're really struggling because of the way we talk about lifestyle. It doesn't actually match how people live. And I know I myself felt this way when I first became plant based, when I tried to like rigidly follow the rules, because life is not rigid, right? Life is life. It's always changing, and you have to be able to adapt, and your lifestyle has to adapt to that life. So this is really important. And again, I told you my clients are always feeling shame. And truthfully, in medicine, a lot of times when things don't work how we expect, or how the textbook says, we tend to blame patients. We blame patients for their illness as if it reflects a personal failure. So, traditional recommendations often expect perfection because, we come up with these recommendations in a lab and studies. And so they're kind of rigid. And when you're trying to study something, that rigidity is important to be able to prove that it works. But when you apply it to real life, it actually has to work with real life. So that's really important. A lot of times, another big thing, and this is the thing that really makes me bristle, is it focuses on restriction. We're always talking about don't have this, don't do that, make sure you're counting every single thing. And for me, I'm not a counter. I'm an intensive care doctor. And so believe me, in the intensive care unit, we count everything. Everything is measured to a T, and it is critically important when patients are critically ill in acute illness. But we're talking about real life. When I'm going out to dinner, I'm traveling the world, I'm not going to count everything. And when we're focused on always restricting, okay, I can't have that, that's not on my diet, my doctor says I shouldn't have that, the rules say I shouldn't have that, sets us up for failure. Instead, focusing on nourishment and how we can nourish ourselves is a huge mindset shift that can be really a game changer. The other thing is we're always treating food like it's a moral test, good foods and bad foods. A big one that personally I feel myself is ignoring culture, ignoring family, ignoring stress and emotional load. These things, we're living life, and we have to address these things if we really want to make a lifestyle that's sustainable. And the last one is that guilt. We live in a system of guilt, especially as women. We're always guilty. I talk to moms every day, and the mom guilt is strong. We always feel like we are responsible for something, and if we can't follow a rule to a T, we're guilty about that as well. And the last really big one is that we expect conditions, right? Often these conditions though they haven't shown up until now, so things like diabetes or high cholesterol or, excess weight, these things have taken years to develop. So maybe the weight didn't actually come on, years ago, but all of those patterns over years have set this up. Inflammation and stress and all of these things take a toll, and they may show up later. And the thing is, when we're working on lifestyle change, we expect it to be yesterday, right? We expect to see results quickly. But again, these things take a really long time to develop. And so we have to allow our lifestyle changes to actually take place. We're not machines. It's not like you can add a little bit here, add a little bit there, and expect an output. Unfortunately, it takes time, and that's nature. We can't change nature as much as we try to. We can't. Um, and then shifts actually happen on a cellular level before you could actually see them in labs or on the scale or something you can measure. So I like to think, if by measuring our progress in our consistency, in how we feel, our energy, our confidence, our emotional regulation, these are things that actually matter. And those are things that will cement the change and help it be more sustainable for the long term. So even when the science is solid, the approach is often rigid and joyless. And this pushes people into this shame cycle instead of towards healing. So shame actually shuts down our nervous system, and joy has the opposite effect. It opens our nervous system. It helps us be regulated, and an open, regulated nervous system is where healing actually begins. So what is this joyful medicine method I keep talking about? It's something I've been putting together. It's kind of how I've practiced lifestyle medicine definitely over the last several years, and I've seen results really in the last 6 months using this with my metabolic healing program. It has been a game changer. And I think about how I live and how I can apply how I live my lifestyle to the greater, everybody else, and how it also melds the science of lifestyle. So what is it? So pillar one is evidence-based lifestyle medicine. We know that there is ample evidence that lifestyle medicine really is true medicine. That's where healing happens. And it starts with really focusing on nutrition, because that's something we do multiple times over the course of the day. And nutrition really has the most powerful effect on our metabolic health. So when we talk about eating real, focusing on whole, unprocessed foods as the mainstay, focus on fiber-rich, plant-forward eating pattern, that is, we know across the board, the most healing. Those are the most healing foods. They're anti-inflammatory. They create the internal environment for healing. When we consume an abundance of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans and legumes, nuts and seeds, and flavor, it is a game changer for our health. A big thing about this is it's not about perfection. It's not about counting macros. It's not about chasing protein at the expense of everything else. Plant-heavy nutrition really shifts our metabolism through changing our gut health, decreasing inflammation, and really improving insulin sensitivity. And so much more, right? It just supports our health all the way around. And not to say what you're excluding, it's focusing on abundantly including these things. When we abundantly include these plant foods, we have room for other things. It's kind of like a shield of armor. I like to think of it as protective armor or a cape. So that really is the baseline. The other lifestyle factors are equally as important, restorative sleep, joyful movement, the joyful movement, stress management, and joy, like I say, community connection, avoiding toxins. These are all really important. And when they work together, they're synergistic. When you combine that with the plant-heavy nutrition, it's synergistic that helps amplify your body's healing abilities. The second pillar is joy and mindfulness. Our nervous system, as I mentioned before, really thrives when it is regulated, when we feel supported and safe. This is really a game changer. And it probably is the most important pillar. Of the lifestyle factors, nutrition is, but of my healing pillars, I think that joy and mind are the primary thing. I think when you harness the power of your mind and you lean into that joy that we all have and remember that it's present, it's a game changer. It helps calm cravings. It helps improve our digestion. It helps stabilize our blood sugar. It boosts our energy. It's not a luxury. Joy really signals that safety, and safety is where healing happens. I've seen it over and over and over again. And when people feel emotionally safe, their physiology improves. It makes it easier to maintain these healthy habits without that feeling. When you feel supported and you feel safe, it's a game changer. The third one I think is also equally important is progress over perfection. I often see in studies, oh, the lifestyle change failed. As far as I'm concerned, lifestyle change never fails. You're always learning, you're always living. So sometimes it needs a little adjustment here and there, but it doesn't fail. Again, it takes time, and often we're measuring the results in a shorter period of time than it takes for our body to actually show external signs. So, we heal through consistent, compassionate actions, not rigid plans and not rigid calculations or numbers. So, while we have so much technology available to monitor every detail, continuous glucose monitors and, um, you know, uh, body. Uh, Composition measures, all of these things are great tools, but we shouldn't use them to drive every decision. I think embracing how we feel and really embracing these um, more human side of things is really important because we ultimately respond again to the cues of nature. So leaning into those cues of nature, leaning into joy, really leaning into that mindfulness and taking those short, small, consistent steps forward. Again, that is where the greatest progress happens. It creates momentum, and once you start that momentum, you continue to move forward. So it's beautiful that way. I think that it is one of the most fulfilling parts of it. Recognizing that we're not aiming for perfection, we're aiming for progress. It's a journey. It's not an endpoint. The fourth pillar is honoring real life culture in everybody. This one is deeply personal as well because, again, so many people have told me that they were instructed to eliminate foods that are central to their culture, to their life. Another thing about Western medicine is, and I am guilty of it, have been guilty of it in the past as well. If it's something that doesn't fit into what we've learned, if it's something we don't understand, we tend to dismiss it. And that is harmful, and it doesn't leave room for things that aren't typical Western foods when we can't put them into a box. And the other thing with why I look at food as opposed to macros is because when you try to label a whole food one macro and then dismiss it, that's harmful for so many reasons. And a lot of these cultural foods that are often dismissed have so many benefits. They have fiber, they have antioxidants, they have micronutrients that are present that we ignore when we're looking at just that macro factor. So I think that health can the other big part is that health can exist at every size. I know this might be controversial. There's so much, there's so many studies out there about the negativity of obesity and about how it causes inflammation and it causes disease. But ultimately, the most important thing is your lifestyle. And I think that when you embrace joyfully a healthy lifestyle, embrace these pillars, change happens. And so health can happen at every size. And that is the heart of my message. I don't, I support people wherever they are in whatever their goals are, but I don't require or even discuss weight as a goal. I don't look at weight as a goal. I look at the whole person and healing as a goal. So health can exist at every size. You don't need to shrink to be accepted. When we focus on these things, when we focus on acceptance, abundance, connection, and real life, healing happens. The best plan is the one that fits your culture, your family, your rhythms, your preferences, your lived experience, and your body as it is today. We do not heal by becoming different people. We'll heal really by supporting the person we already are. So, when you nourish your nervous system, when you fuel your body with plants, when you take consistent small steps and honor your real life, your metabolism finally has the environment it needs to work with you. You move out of fight or flight, you move out of survival mode, and your physiology shifts towards balance. So, I hope that I have given you a good overview of why I'm so passionate about this method, and really why I'm trying to create a movement of joyful medicine. I think that has a place for every disease. Every body has a benefit, can benefit from this method of seeing health. So before we wrap up, this is the end of my talk for today. But I would love to hear from you. Did any of the concepts that I talked about today resonate with you? Have you ever felt any of these things? Have you ever felt shame or pressure or perfectionism get in the way of taking the first step? Let me know in the comments. I really would appreciate it. Your story matters, and it helps me to know as well. It helps other people. When we share our stories, it gives people comfort and community. So I hope you'll feel comfortable enough to share. If not, that's okay too. You can always send me a message. I'm always available by email as well, or direct message. So thank you for joining me today for Joyful Medicine Live with Dr. Jen. Remember that healing isn't about restriction or punishment. It is joy, nourishment, and steps that honor your humanity. If you want an easy starting point, you can download my free fiber guide below. If you're looking for support and accountability, join my $10 Joyful Weight and Wellness community. Make sure to register for my upcoming Metabolism webinar. The details will be here later. Join me again every Friday here at 9 a.m. for another live session. Thank you for joining me today.